Hi everyone, today's topic is reverse percentages. So it's kind of a review lesson. However, in particular, we're going to work on how to take a percentage when it's given to you and figure out the whole. Okay, so they're giving you the percent, you have to figure out the whole or what 100% is. We're going to use the same methods, but the problems will just look a little differently. Let's take a look at example 7 from the book. In a box, 15% of the balls are green. If there are 54 green balls, find the number of balls in the box. Go ahead and pause the video, see if you can try it on your own first. And remember, you can use a table, a double number line, whatever method it is that you used in the past. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and use the table because that's my favorite, but I'll also go over a double number line as well. So if I'm using a table, I'm going to first figure out what are the two things that we have that are discussed in this problem. We're going to talk about green balls. So I want to label my table, green balls, versus it looks like the total number of balls. Okay, and then I'm going to fill out my table. In a box, 15% of the balls are green. Put my percentage symbol so I know that it's a percent and not a normal number. If there are 54 green balls, so 54 goes under green as well, find the total number of balls in the box. It doesn't say total number of balls, but it doesn't have any color there, so I can assume that they're talking about the total number of balls in the box. So I need to find the total number of balls. These right here are their numbers, and on top is my percents. My total is going to be my 100%. 100% is always going to be given to you because you're always going to have a total. All right, so I have 3 known amounts and I have 1 missing amount. So once I figure out the total number of balls here, then I have my answer. Okay, so you know that if you are using a table, you can figure out the pattern. So since I am trying to get to this missing number here, I can figure out what the pattern is to get from 15 to 100. So in my calculator, I can take 100 and divide by 15. So let me take out my calculator. Okay, 100 divided by 15. That is like 6.6666. So that means 15 times that 6.6 with the line repeating will get me to 100. Now, I may not like the pattern, but that's the pattern. Okay, so again, we took 100 and we divided by 15 to get that number. It's 6.6 repeating. At the end, it has a 7 because the calculator is rounding it for you. So I'm going to follow that same pattern. 54 times 6.6 with the 6's repeating should give me my answer. So 54 times 6. Put in as many 6's as I can. Basically, that just means it's 2/3 and it's a repeating decimal. And I get 360. So when 15% of the balls are green, and that means 54 total green balls, that means the total number of balls in the box is 360. And I can check that by figuring out what 15% of my total, 360, is. That would be 0.15 times 360. So if I check that, then that's equal to 54. And that is correct. Okay, so the answer is 360 using your table. Now let me use my double number line for those of you who are more visual. Double number line is going to be pretty much the same thing as your table. So you have your percents on the bottom. Always start off with 0% to 100%. 0 for the number of balls, And we don't know the total. That's what we were trying to figure out. However, we know that 15% are green, and that's also a total of 54 green. So if I were using my table, I can then basically break it up into pieces. So 15%, I can say, well, that's basically 5%, 10%, and then 15%, right? If you count by fives, 5, 10, 15. So then you can do the same thing to 54 by breaking it into 3 pieces. So 54 divided by 3. If you need the calculator, you can use it. 54 divided by 3 is 18. So that means each of these is 18. So you're counting up by fives for your percents, 5, 10, 15%. And over here, you're counting by 18s. So 18 plus another 18 is 36, plus another 18 would be 54. So 18, 36, 54. So then since you know that each 5% is equal to 18 green balls, you can keep adding up. So then 20% would be another 18 balls. So 54 plus 18 would equal 72. You can do that up until you reach 100, but that takes a really long time. So a shortcut would be, well, if you know that 5% is the same as 18 green balls, then 5 times 20 will get you to 100. So then 18 times 20 will get you to the total amount of balls, which is 18 times 20, 360. Okay, so using the double number line, you can break it up into smaller pieces and then kind of build up that way. Many different ways you could do that. And of course, there's other methods as well. All right, the second problem we're going to work on is example 8 from the book. In a library, the fine for not returning a book on loan is 125% of the price of the book. If the fine for a book that was not returned was $90, find the price of the book. Go ahead and pause and see if you can try it on your own first. All right, so if I were using a table, I'm going to label my table with the 2 things I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fine, and I'm also talking about the price of the book. Okay? So let's see. In a library, the fine for not returning a book on loan is 125% of the book. If the fine for a book that was not returned was $90, whoops, wrong place. $90 was the fine, not the price of the book. Okay, 125% is the fine. And then $90 is also the fine. Find the price of the book. Well, we know the price of the book is going to be 100%. Remember, the 100% is always a given, but we don't know the actual dollar amount for the price of the book. So we are going to look for patterns like before. If I need to get from 125 to 100%, I can take 125 and divide by 100, and that would be 1.25. 1.25. So then I would assume that means 125 has to divide by 1.25 to get to 100. Let me just double check in my calculator. 125 divided by 1.25 is 100, yes. And so then that means going this way for the dollar amount, I'm going to follow the same pattern. 90 divided by 1.25. 90 divided by 1.25. And that's $72. So if the fine was $90, the actual price of the book was $72. Why? Because they want the price of the book back so they can buy a new one. And they want to fine you for being late. So that's why it's 125% of the original price of the book. They want the money and they want a little bit more as I don't know, a consequence for you not returning it on time. Okay, so that's the table method. We can also use the double number line method. So that would be 0% as always. And we have 125%. So let's go ahead and put the 100% over here. And we'll put the 125% over here. 125% was the fine. So $0 if it's 0%. The fine was $90 because that was and that goes on top of the 125% because that was the fine. Okay? So now we need to figure out 100%. So you can look for patterns like before, and you can figure out that 125 has to divide by 1.25 to get to 100. So then 90 also has to divide by 1.25 to get to our $72. Okay, and then you can also figure out, okay, 72 is, let's see, 18 away from when I subtracted them, 18 away from 90. So each 25%, 25, 50, 75% should be $18. $18 plus another $18 is $36. So it should kind of add up. So the good thing about the double number line is you can kind of check your work. $36 plus another 18 is $54. $54 plus another 18 should get you the 72, right? So each 25% is $18. So that's why some people like the double number line, is they can basically check their work and see if the entire picture makes sense with that dollar amount. But either way, your answer is $72. So again, this lesson is not anything new. It's just asking you questions in different ways, so you can still use the same methods that you used before.